there's a new world where you don't need to spend time on these things. So you have to do things differently. Now people cannot start crying, my job will go away, what can I do, what is that? That's the fact, it's there. You can't do anything about it. You can't stop it. So you better
Welcome back to the Master Mo podcast. This is your host Mo Nama, and today we've got an interesting knowledge to talk about, and something really I was really looking for the perfect guest for this content, or for something that I'm really interested to know and get to myself into this knowledge. And to get the perfect guest for this, I have the privilege of hosting Dr Jasim Haji, who been working in 3 different industries for 3 decades, and he is now leading the Sheikh Nasser AI Innovation Center, or Research and Development Center, if I said it correctly. I had the privilege to host him in the podcast, and without further ado, Dr. Jasim in the house. Welcome.
Thank you. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. It's a privilege to be with you and your viewers and listeners.
Wow, such a fascinating. I had go through of your background, and I was fascinating that we both did study at the same university.
2 universities.
Yeah, exactly, and almost the same. So you did your master's, I believe, in Sunderland, and then you did your PhD in Newcastle. I mean Northumbria. Whereas in my situation, I did my undergrad or bachelor in Sunderland, and I did my master's in Northumbria. So first of all, thank you for coming here, and can you just let me know about your educational pathway and background?
By the way, the Sunderland and Newcastle are all the same neighbors, actually. They are the northeast of England, for the people who understand it. But yeah, I actually, my childhood, I did it in a school that no longer exists. It was called American Mission School in Bahrain. That was moved to another school called the Raja. I did my bachelor's and this studies in Cornwall, UK, with a college at the time called Caber and Wireless College, which was a telecommunications. So my background is telecommunications. And so did that. And then, of course, as you rightly said, did my master's in managing information technology in Sunderland University. And then the PhD was followed. I graduated from my PhD 2010, where I did it on the cultural aspects of AI. Of course, my master's, I graduated in 2004. So that's the education pathway. Of course, did many professional training certifications to help me to come closer to the field itself, to the technology and evolving technology. So then, of course, I did, as part of my research, several books and articles and research papers that, if you like, we can talk about it in a minute, or whenever you think it's appropriate.
Sure, go ahead. It's the appropriate time right now.
Of course, I did... as part of being a researcher and expertise in this area, I did 5 books since from 2000, I would say 16 until lately. 3 of them in Arabic. They're all related to AI and digital transformation, and 1 of them in English, and 1 in Spanish.
Wow, Spanish. So you speak Spanish as well?
Not that much, but it was done with another professor in Spain, in San Pablo University, and we collaborated. So ideas was translated to Spanish, because that covers a bigger geographic area, not only Spain, but South America. So we published it in many countries, including Brazil, Argentina, where it gave us a leverage of coordinating with them. And now still I collaborate with them. More than that, since 2010, I've been publishing articles in both Arabic and English on a weekly basis, sometimes more than one. But consistently, for instance, with Akhbar Khalij for the past 14 years, writing every week an article about something new in AI and technology, digital transformation, cybersecurity. It's been nearly 1,000 articles in English also, publishing with Bahrain this week, but many other monthly magazines in Scotland, in India, in Dubai. So the aim is to disseminate the information related to AI to the wider population, to the wider youth, professionals, executives, to understand what is really AI, what is technology, and where we're going. And the fascination with that is you can always talk about something new that nobody has spoken about. So if you write about finance and HR, it's always seems to be a repetition, but from a different angles.
Correct, from different perspective.
From perspective that is, evolving different organization. But the core idea is the same. But when it comes to the AI, and you talk about, tomorrow I'm going to publish my weekly, and it's called Sora. Sora is a new, we'll talk about a generative AI tool published by OpenAI. So that's something new. So people who have heard about it, they can come to my articles and understand more about it, and it explains it and what it does. So people don't have to just listen to the buzzwords and misunderstand it or keep relating it to the other technological path, which is not correct. And there is a big misperception about AI in the community. So that's about the publishing. But also if I continue with the disinformation, I've spoken in more than 750 conferences as part of the panels or solo. Majority keynote speaks about AI. That's in Europe and GCC and Arab world. We just came back 3 days ago from a tour. We did this in Muscat, Oman, in Dubai, in Barcelona. We were there for 6 days, Istanbul, and then Riyadh. So just to finish them all before Ramadan. That was all within 3 weeks. So wow. It was, very a tight chat. Was, again, all to do with AI and how you can collaborate, how can you pass the information. So it's very important. Important as an AI is also important for us as a Bahrain to flagship the AI and display that there are a lot of youth and talented Bahrainis who are working on AI that we are proud of, but we just want to also present them on an international level to make sure that they know them, that Bahrain talents are known, that the geographical location of Bahrain is not only cultural but technological, and we are one of the few countries in the region that started innovating from the scratch, and we have a lot of talents coming out of universities in Bahrain or outside like yourselves that can position Bahrain as a hub, as a center for such technologies, and specifically in AI.
Fascinating. Now, I want to jump to, first of all, when you said about there's a misconception of the community. Can you give me an example of what kind of misconception into the AI?
Yeah, good question. And coming back to the lack of knowledge and the little knowledge sometimes, as they would put it, is dangerous. People heard of AI and there is a different interpretation of that. Number one, some think it is a technology. It's just another technology, which is not. Others believe it's a robot. It is not. Others, they fear of the danger and of the negativity that AI brings, which it does, but not at the significance that people think about it. It's not going to go and, you know, destroy the whole world and take everybody over from nothing. So we need to explain that well. Another danger, and I'm sorry to also highlight that, there are people who claim, even in Bahrain, that they provide AI solutions, or they do AI, or they know about AI, but they are completely out of scope. So they provide the solutions to companies, to organizations that are really not beneficial, and they're short-term solutions, which is very dangerous. So I like to warn the community and the organizations of collaborating with such people. I mean, they provide this, you know, very limited solution with a company which is consisting of 2-3 people, and you know, the community think of them that they are highly calibers, but that is not. I think we should always, I'm not saying only me, but take it from the mouth of the expertise, from the experience, from the established organizations. And the entrepreneurs, they need to take their time to come. It's not going to be as simple as everybody puts in it.
And your role as someone who lead the research and development for a huge center, I believe, you're taking this role very seriously. I can tell from the way you were just saying that you should be consistent when it comes to publication and journal articles that you have to write, and being in a newspaper almost every week, as just like you mentioned. Now, my question for you, how you yourself is up to date when it's come to, like, what is the trends that at the moment that you are using in order to be up to date with the information before you're publishing it?
Well, first of all, I have another role that may be worth mentioning. I'm also president of International Group of Artificial Intelligence. It's called IGOAI. IGOAI is a community non-profit making organization internationally that consists of members from over 37 countries, over 1,500 members, and we do a lot of research, conferences, and it is to the benefit of the communities from South and North America to Europe to Middle East, going to all the way to Indian subcontinent and Far East. So for us, it is important to not rely on the legacy. I mean, some people come and probably, again, I'll go back to other subjects with no disrespect. They can speak about it from their experience, you know, what they did, how it was 10 years ago, what is the, you know, the community doing about it. That you can rely and rest on your experience. In this area, you cannot. I cannot sit, and even my books, I tell people, the books that I published in 2016 or 17 or 18, they may not be as up to date as people think, because we keep moving. And that's why I write articles, because articles are more up to date than the books. The books, especially paper books, you know, they have a validity.
Correct.
And that then disappears. Then, you know, if I'm talking about AI today, I cannot rely on that in 6 months' time. There is something totally new happening. So our job is not only development, not only working on algorithms and data science, but also continuing researching, reading, analyzing to be up to the, you know,
required level.
But that also comes with a background. You know, you cannot just start reading about AI and start publishing papers, because you need to relate it to the past. You need to relate it to the trend that has happened, to the themes that we've been going through for the past several years. We in Bahrain started, or at least myself, in 2017, 7 years ago, about AI. And without boasting about it, but nobody even knew what was AI. Nobody talked about it, and everybody thought that you're a maniac trying to talk about AI, and nothing like that exists. It was only a couple of years ago that people started, really hearing about AI, or maybe maximum 3, and reacting to it and understanding it. Of course, for the past year or so, that's the trend has risen and it has grown. But we started in Bahrain, as I said, believe it or not, 7 years ago. And we started the first conference 7 years ago, talking about AI in a small scope. Nobody was interested, by the way, in that conference to listen to us, because I think it's too complicated, too superficial. There's no way something like this is going to come. But we have to believe in it and start, because in a few years' time, everybody is going to, talk about AI as a past. So we have to be ahead of
the game. And you said we have to be. You mean as a Bahrain has to be, or as you, since you are the responsible for the research and development center?
No, I don't ever consider myself or a small team that we have as the only people. The reason I'm sitting here with you, talking to you and your audience, is because we want to disseminate this information to everybody, and they take it and not only listen to us, but do something about it.
Correct.
Maybe, and learn more, apply it, try it. And this is where we're going to get. Maybe some parents want to pass it to their children. Maybe some students, they take advantages and take their specialty when they go to universities. Maybe even the other professionals want to collaborate AI in their business.
100%. And I do believe in this. And the good thing about AI, I attended a session a couple of weeks back, and one of the information that blows my mind off, which is the AI has been introduced to the world, or basically to the hidden world, I would say, in 1960. And correct me if I'm wrong on this. What I believe, or what I have heard, is that the AI has been generated for military since 1960, but it's brought to the public, like, I don't know, like five years ago, and we just have this, like, the top of the surface. We don't have the actual AI. What's your comment on this?
Maybe part of it is correct, but let me take you back. See, the AI is a combination of data science and algorithms.
Correct.
What is algorithms in Arabic?
Khwarazmiyat.
And you know what is Khwarazmiyat coming from, right?
Yeah.
That comes from the name Sheikh Muhammad bin Musa al-Khwarazmi. He invented algorithms, which is the heart of AI, between 782 to 844. So you're talking about 1300 years ago. The Muslims and Arabs invented AI, in a way or not. The heart of AI, the algorithms, was done by him. Now, if I look at his books from that time, which I did, and look at what we do now and what others do, it's the same algorithms. It hasn't changed. So the essence of algorithms was done by him. Now, you tell me why AI was not invented 1300 years ago. Well, he had the complication or the complexity of the algorithms and how to train data and how to use it. But at the time, he didn't have the machines that we do have today. The processing power, the storage, the cloud, and so on. He and his students, he was teaching in Baghdad, were using pen and paper to take the algorithms and convert some complex equations into the results. But that would have taken them months and years to do something that we could do today in a few seconds.
Correct.
So that's why that was probably not looked at. And I always try to give the facts and the right to this guy who brought AI as an algorithm to the world, because nobody talks about it. And I insist to say this is his job, that today we are taking the fruits out of it. The Westerners first talked about AI in 1956. There was a professor in a university in US called Professor John McCarthy. And he, not John Matthew.
Big shout out to John Matthew, by the
way. John McCarthy, he brought the essence of algorithm. Basically, he repeated the same things, but on a different theories with the colleagues. But again, he came across the same limitations and delays that he couldn't do anything about it. Even at the time that there were some computers with few K, that was very limited. Then, of course, it was left, and others came to follow him. That's why they call him a father of AI, but I don't. I call Khwarazmi that. Then, of course, it took up to 50s and 60s, and it was used with limited purposes. And they tried in 1970s with science fiction movies to repeat some of them. Then again, AI went through two probably setbacks, and they call them the AI Winter 1 and AI Winter 2, which was basically related to when everybody thought that we had enough of it, nothing's going to happen, so let's pack it and not more research. They left it, they came back. But then, IBM Watson, they created a machine to beat the world champion in chess, Garry Kasparov. So then the people had some hopes. They said, well, if a machine can beat the chess champion, which is probably the smartest person in the world, then we can do more about it. And Japanese came in Tokyo Expo, created the first robot. And then, as you rightly said, it was not until I would say more than 5 years, because we were talking about the 7 years in the past decade.
Let's say,
that people started utilizing it in isolations in different pockets of the business. But then, of course, the COVID was the biggest servant for AI. It has pushed it. It has prompted the use of it. And then, of course, the biggest evolution came with ChatGPT, with OpenAI bringing something called generative AI. And that came in end of November 22 and went out 23. But they used the data, which was up to September 21. And then after that, many others came, and the challenges between, OpenAI, which is partially owned by Microsoft, and Google, they were the two rivals. And others trying to catch up with, but there are hundreds and hundreds of generative AI applications that are now out there for doing different purposes, different actions of creations, generating the data. We can talk about the examples as we go on if you
Sure.
find it useful.
Sure. Just from my understanding now, is that when John McCarthy has developed this, has he used the same that the Arabic guy, which is the Baghdadi guy, Khwarazmi, did he use the same?
Yeah, of course. The algorithms hasn't changed, as I said, for 1,300 years ago until now. The invention of algorithms was done by him. So he did not come with the new algorithms or the different algorithm. He tried to use the same algorithms, putting them into an AI, which is, the algorithms does the thinking and reaction. When you let the machine think and evaluate situation and take action, that is done by algorithms. It's not done by the data, it's not done by storage, it's not done by normal computing. The difference is today when you have a machine and you work on it, at the end of the day, whatever you get out of the machine, you, Muhammad, will take the decision. You are, at the end of the day, a boss. You make wrong or right decisions. With algorithms, you train the data sets, the models, And with the using different algorithms, because there is no one type of algorithms, you have to try it based on the situation that you use. Of course, the parts of it are machine learning, deep learning, and many other ones that can be explained. But end of the day, he tried to create something like machine learning to be able to perform those. But because the result, again, is using the same theories but in a different aspect, but because the result was not tangible, it was not fast enough, he could not go further.
Okay, and also there was a lack of technology in 1960, back in the day.
Of course, yeah, the processing and storage was, very, very limited. Today we have supercomputers, they call phantom computers, and they have NVIDIA, which provides today the GPU. I mean, we're not talking about CPU for AI, it's GPU, graphic processing unit, not the traditional computers. This company are dominating the world. A few months ago, after the introduction of ChatGPT, the company's value went up from 782 billion to 1 trillion.
Wow.
Within 1 week. So $1 trillion company just to deal with mainly or predominantly things, the processing of AI, and most of the GPUs that we use are as a production of NVIDIA. And they're very expensive. So the cost is in the machine, not in the development. Development, as we said earlier, that has been there for many years, and people try to do it, and many people attemted. But the cost is how fast you can do this, how fast machine can react. And if you cannot react in time, then you're falling behind, and then you're not producing the results that you want. At the end of the day, is a matter of how computer compared to the human is more efficient, how faster it is, how much more it can store the data, and how can he react.
Exactly, fascinating. Now, I'm interested to know, were they, when they use the Khwarizmi algorithm, do they give him the credit for? Or
no, they don't. No,
really?
They don't. Yeah. I don't want to purposely claim this, but I didn't say anybody who's talking about him in any of the books or presentations or seminars except myself. I always put in my presentation his photo. His photo is available, and then I put it there, and I ask people, who's this guy? I say, I don't know, he's a poet or something. I said, no, he's the source of inspiration, and he's the person who invented. I don't care what others say, but this is something that the Muslims do. I mean, of course, he's one of many that contributed to the science that people use, and of course, Ibn Sira, Farabi, and others are part of it. But specifically when we talk to AI, he's the person. I mean, they call it Khwarizmiyat in Arabic. So the name is very, very clear, but nobody linked it to that. So why did you call it Khwarizmiyat? Why? Why did you? Even in English, is a translation of his name or the Greek name.
Fascinating. Wow. That was unexpected, to be honest. And so when you touch upon this point, you had not touched upon the point that I was mentioning earlier, which is the military use of the AI.
I don't, the internet was the invention of Pentagon, US Army, several other technologies mainly came from the defense and then was converted to public, you're right. In AI, I don't think there was much that was done in military and passed to the public in 60s, etc. My researches shows that was first, then there was universities, then some tech companies who sponsored it and taken it forward.
Okay. And that's your perspective or the way you think?
Yeah, this is
according to your research, obviously. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Right. Now, before you jump to the AI world, you've been leading different You've been working in different industries. I believe the three main industries: hospitality and digital transformation and telecommunication, if I'm not mistaken. Your role in these, how you shape yourself in order to be, what are the characteristics that, in your opinion, shape you and kept you in a position and allow you to be in such high hierarchy in the companies?
Well, I did from my studies that I started in telecommunication, master, PhDs, or wherever I work. I've been doing technology one way or another all my life. Telecommunication is part of technology. And then we take in the other, because at the time there was no such things as a computing, etc. It was just mainly telecommunication, how you communicate and then pass messages, etc. And then, of course, that when you have the expertise and knowledge in technology, then it's not so difficult for you to work in a different industry. So you worked in an airline, which I did, and applied that, and I worked in a telecommunication and, at the time, and I worked in other technology provision companies, like American companies, and going to AI. So the historical path working in telecom and technology helped me a lot. This wouldn't have possible, like some people just jump from, for instance, from one side of the business into technology and claim that they know about AI, for instance. Their background doesn't help them because they're always limited to what they do. I mean, yeah, everybody can go. I'm not saying it is restricted to certain people. Anybody can go and learn AI and do and use it. By the way, usage is everybody is. So, I encourage everybody. But if you want to go deep inside it, and an understanding is difficult if you don't have the background on various aspects of fundamentals of technologies and the associated subjects.
And that's why you believe you was better fit because you've been working and had an experience.
I don't claim anything. I mean, I don't claim that I'm the only one. I should be the person being given credit. End of the day, I try myself to be a servant to this country and to the people, to try to be a way to move them forward, to open the doors for them, to position Bahrain and Bahrainis on the map within the Middle Eastern world, to be able to do it. So that's why I do not look at promoting a product as much as promoting an AI and Bahrain as a whole.
Let me ask you this, Dr. Jasim. What is your purpose in life?
Well, see, one of the things I do in life is like a big cake. And that cake, you can distribute it into pieces only. You cannot have the same cake eaten by the 4 or 5 different people. So if people take part of it. And for me, the life is, if you do work and do research on innovations such as AI, it takes away a lot of things from you. So you have to cut down on many social activities, responsibilities. It takes away from you some fun time, some relaxations, going around the world and enjoying yourself. Even when I travel, I only, in the past decade, or more, I only travel for the business of technology or AI or for education or for learning. There hasn't been any time that I travel for relaxation or sit somewhere, sit back and enjoy the time and close my mobile and laptop. So for me is, hopefully leaving a legacy to for others to follow, to take over. It started with innovations, which is AI. Tomorrow it may not be AI, maybe something else, but it is an innovation for everybody to take. So hopefully people will benefit from that more than benefiting from, people supporting the community, maybe monetary or, building, because these are, I think, are temporary activities. You need to leave knowledge behind for people to be able to use it. And, I'm always happy to see the co-workers, staff, students, colleagues, people who you've been relating with in this area have taken steps forward, and that makes me happy that they reach a level that we expect them to.
Are you seeing companies, from your perspective, obviously, since you've been collaborating and working closely with news and other outlets, and let's say just companies in general, have you seen a trend of companies are using AI heavily, or you are seeing that companies are investing so much in AI or into their stuff? Yeah.
Look, it is the beginning. We're trying. There has been an improvement. There has been a start, and I'm very excited whether it's with us or their own. It is not up to expectations. I was expecting more influx of people and companies towards AI because we want to be the pioneers. We don't want it to be forced on us in 2-3 years when everybody's gone now. They says, okay, you have no choice, you have to do it. But that's what we try to do. This is our job to, again, promote AI and in the right way. I'll go and say sometimes because of the trend AI, many people, I wouldn't say abusing or misusing, but benefiting from that to promote their products or the knowledge in a wrong way. Because, if I come and sit to you and say I have an AI solution and you have limited knowledge, even if I have 10% knowledge, it's more than what you know. So I can probably deceive you by giving you some of the information and convince you to probably go to buy certain product that I made, which is not genuine. But, so that's why I'm saying the established organizations working on AI can at least bring you the experience, the reputation, because I see some people, they're giving it to beginners and they did it for a few months and then they ran away. They parked it and they haven't done it themselves properly. Even some organizations try to do it internally, but they don't have the expertise, but they claim. Because AI is not IT, it's not technology. So there's a great resistance as well for some people to understand that.
To understand that, yeah, 100%. Myself, I used it, to be honest, and it made so much easy my life. Like, I had used it in a lot of things, a lot. And it, technically speaking, and my own understanding is that I'm using AI to make my job better and easier and kind of cut down the time of thinking, planning, and writing. Supposed to the smallest things, for example, when it comes, for example, to the podcast description of an episode, it would take at least 2 hours for me to write one. But now within AI, it takes me literally less than a minute to generate one. And if you write the right prompt, if you have the right terminology to put in, because what I understand is that if you write to him at the right form, then you'll get the absolute the best out of it. It's all about how you write the prompt to the generative AI I'm talking about specifically, like
and the practice, Gemini. By the way.
Obviously, yeah, 100%, yeah. Like Gemini,
Gemini, the
Google one.
The right version hasn't come out yet because they have 3 sets of versions. 2 of them are out, but the most complex one is still to be published. But that's the competition between them and OpenAI.
Yeah.
That's why OpenAI, they have introduced other ones. Sora. Because now with Sora, you can scrabble on a piece of paper. Previously, you could scrabble on a piece of paper and it writes you, scenarios that you mentioned. But with this, now you can scrabble and it can produce you a video with sound.
Wow.
Yeah, try that. Wow. So you can just write it and it not only provide you the scenario, but the characters, the video, the sound, of course.
Okay. In your opinion, Dr. Jasim, now, with this advanced technology and the trend going with the AI and stuff like that, don't you think that could be harmful for the writers, producers, I mean, if AI can literally generate for you whatever words you want in a couple of seconds, don't you think that is kind of end of an era for creativity, artists, producers?
Well, look, you cannot look at it that way. You have to look at it, there's a new world where you don't need to spend time on these things. So you have to do things differently. Now, people cannot start crying, my job will go away, what can I do, what is that? That's the fact, it's there. You can't do anything about it. You can't stop it. So you better complement your activities with that. Okay, so if tomorrow you say, well, the podcast, somebody can do it in 2 minutes and create characters, then you have to do it differently, something that is more attractive. But by using AI, you have to, join it, not resist it. Because even in schools, I was telling the teachers, they didn't agree with me, but I said, the students will use that to solve their problems, their homeworks, their exams. Now, at the beginning, people called it cheating. But in future, this is not a cheating. This is part of your life. Whether you like it or not, you have to use that and get used to it. So then you have to test the students in a different way, not from the exam, because, everybody's going to do. You cannot go to every home and tell parents, don't let them use that. Today's students are smart and they are very technology literate, so they will get over it. They know more than their teachers.
100%. And I believe if the teacher were to be stubborn and someone who is hard-headed, not following the trends and new ways, I mean, that student will surpass him so fast, and yet he wouldn't even to have a glimpse of thought, because like you mentioned, if imagine if he said to them, like, you have to do assessment of, let's suppose, of 1,000 words, and that guy literally know how to use AI, he will get it within a second, and then he might just put his touch in order, for example, to not to plagiarism. If it's happened that school using plagiarism system, not to catch whether he take it from Google or no. I mean, with a couple of AI prompts and a couple of personal touch, there is no way that lecturer or the system can be able to determine the plagiarism of that guy.
See, the generative AI is getting smarter and smarter. Before, or the users, let me put it this way, getting smarter and smarter. Before, you could put a sentence and Gen AI gives you a whole write-up. So now you could take this and put it back and it tells you if it is a plagiarism. And there were tools to show you that. But now what they do is they take that and then they ask to change it again, to put it in a different format. And then they again put it in another tool to show if it's showing plagiarism, the students. And maybe with 2-3 different tools, they will create something that is untraceable.
100%, yeah.
So instead of wasting your time trying to find the students are plagiarizing or not, go and teach them something different. The real problem is with all the respect, some teachers are not getting into that level. They stopped at certain level of thinking and knowledge, and they have not integrated them in this. If they can't, then they better, think seriously that they will not be able to track these students.
Yeah. Now, I'll ask you this, and this could be unnatural question. What is the one thing that is, if it's happened within your ability, what is that thing that you will choose to have in terms of power or influence to change as an AI expert?
Can you rephrase it?
So what is the one thing that you are looking to obtain that within your, for example, let's say you want to change the educational curriculum, for example, or embedding AI into student curriculum since, let's say, 7 or 8 years. What is the one thing that the most you all wanted to have?
My dream on this.
Yeah.
I let a virtual teacher.
A virtual teacher?
Yeah.
And why would you select that?
This is the teachers that will come anyway, I think, one day, but that's my theories, and there are some limited ones that you will have a teacher where I wouldn't say the teacher itself, but the educational institute will store data of the child from kindergarten until they go to university. So they have everything you were taught. They know all about your family situation, about your talents, about your abilities, about your past results for the 16 years probably. And then year on year, the same virtual teacher will improve you. It will give you lectures, not necessarily in the morning, it may be in the night, in the afternoon. It will be so intelligent that keeps changing them and changing the curriculum as it teaches you. So you will be having your own curriculum that meets you and meets the world and meets the job requirements and your capabilities. And continue doing this as a one-on-one. So you will not have every day a teacher change in 1 year and then they don't have a background. What are your abilities? What are your constraints? What are your weaknesses? Work on them. That will be fitting so nicely onto the students to be able to have all their data, all the algorithms that work with them, and produce a curriculum that fits them until the university. Maybe they finish this 16 years in 13 years. Who knows? Maybe more, depending on the child's ability.
Correct.
And then this can be taken to work for people who do training and understand their past. And don't do training just for sake of training. Well, we send 20 people, like sending them to, I don't know, to the stable. Go and this training is good for all of you. So that customization and tailoring of the students will result in future. So that's, if you like, that's a dream scenario, which will, I think, happens one day.
Let's see how it goes. Now, what is in your opinion as well? I'm just curious really about you. You said a lot about sacrifice and you talked about that you'd been devoting your life and you have not even traveled the last decade unless it's something for business or related to your work and research and stuff like that. That all of sacrifice and devotion of everything that you do, and especially that I believe you're a workaholic. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't know if there is anything more than that, but there is beyond that.
Yeah, according to my research, you work a minimum 14 to 16 hours a day, and it is a lot. Now, adding to this, you just mentioned in the beginning of this podcast that you also don't travel for fun and stuff like that. So I'm really curious to know, what is the sacrifice, in your opinion, that why it is so important for you to let go everything else and just focus on that?
Well, it's simple. If you look at any work that you do in life, that you have expectations toward the reward, then you will not do this. Because people tend, in majority, to do the work towards a reward, a goal. Now, reward, it can be different aspects to it, but usually materialistic reward. Materialistic reward is what? You work to get promotion, you work to get money, you work to get fame, you work to see something tangible here. But if you think even further ahead, and even beyond yourself, beyond your time, beyond your life, to say, well, have I left even small footsteps or finger thumb for others to follow, to build on? That gives you a satisfaction that many people may not notice, because everybody looks at their toes. What if I'm doing this in 1 month's time or in 2 weeks? What I'm going to get? What is the return on this? What is the return on investment?
It's what is in it for me.
Exactly. And I think today we are coming to Shahr Ramadan Mubarak, when you help needy people, you're paying them, helping them for something that they can survive for the next 1 month. But what about after that? They come back to you. They always need you to help them. But if you try to contribute to a science and knowledge, then I think people can build on that, improve in their job, put their business, have a knowledge, they can work independently. And I think even in terms of humanitarian help, this is probably more contributable, if you like.
What is the best advice has been given to you and you applied it and you see huge difference?
I don't think there was one advice that made me or others change, and I don't believe in this one word said and next day my life was changed and I thought differently. No, I think everybody is a combination of many positive, negative things. It's a combination of the family, friends, co-workers, and stuff. Somebody asked me, how many times you made a mistake? I said, each time, if I want to compare it for each right thing I did, each time I did the right thing, there was a mistake before that. So if I did 2,000 right things, was 2,000 mistakes with it. If it is 1 million right things, it was 1 million mistakes. So we always learn from mistakes and build on it. Of course, mistakes that you built on. So the mistakes are biggest advisors.
Correct, yeah.
And sometimes enemies, I say, people say, well, enemies, they try to hurt you. I say, well, the best people to try to tell you exactly what is your mistake is an enemy, because they try to find a fault in you, even if it is something small, to magnify it. So that's great. You know, find out more faults in me, tell me so I can improve on them. So, the friends don't. Friends, they try to always cover up, be nice and all that stuff. So they don't, you know, maybe highlight the weaknesses.
Yeah, and as much as enemy you would have, it's for the better, because they will highlight the things, that area for your own development. Yeah. But it's only if you have the abundance mindset to listen,
of course,
and understand and accept criticism or negative feedback, even if it is not a constructive feedback that will build you. Just try to think of what is in your hand, or what is the one thing that you can take out from this that can evolve you.
See this in AI. Now, everybody you talk to, they don't look at AI, even AI, as let the personal aspects alone. People around the world, I'm not saying here, when they talk about what is one thing that they try to focus on, how dangerous AI is, how biased it is, how unethical it is, how it's going to take the jobs away, how all the negative things. And these could be less than 1% of what AI does. So they forget the 99% of the advantages, or how it can help, how it can, you know, improve, how it can provide you with more success and prosperity. So, but even that 1% you take into consideration. But as always, you have to look at the bright side of it. What are the advantages? If I look at the 99% of it and say, it's going to prosper and give me, I'm not going to say day and night and say, well, it's going to take jobs away, it's very dangerous. That means you're not going to do anything about it. If you think like that, you're not going to take a step forward. But everybody else is. So you have to stay back and think like that. And that's more dangerous than beneficial.
This is interesting to say, because this was a couple of questions that in my head was going to be in that direction, and you're absolutely correct. Like, if I was a guy and then I'm thinking of, well, maybe the AI will take my job in 5 years' time, and instead of thinking what can I learn in AI that I can be more competent, that it will give me a better advantage of the others, they will just do the opposite, and that doesn't make any sense. I mean, taking AI to your advantage, and instead of thinking of the AI as being disadvantaged.
See, today, look at yourself as a businessman. Businessmen or organizations or companies are not charities. They do things to make profit. Doesn't matter how they do it. So, if you propose to an organization and say, we'll give you an AI solution, because if I don't, somebody else will. If somebody else doesn't, somebody else will. and it will reduce your manpower by 40%, reduce your cost. It will improve efficiency. Do you think they will refuse it?
100% no. It wouldn't sound natural if someone came to me and says 40% of your labor will be cut down and the efficiency and the productivity of your team and your operation will be at, let's say, a more efficient level. It's like dream come true for me if I'm a businessman.
So people shouldn't sit and feel sorry for themselves. There can be innovation. Today there is no innovation that's without AI. You cannot be just a painter. He'll do it for you 5 seconds. You cannot be a poet. Right? You want a book, he'll write you a book. So I always, when I talk about it, by the way, I get a lot of angry responses. No, can't do this, it will not be better. So you can sit and complain, but it will happen. So understand it, don't accept everything with it, but move on with it. Don't just say, you know, I can do it better, human can do better. Your brain has certain capacities to store. Do you remember exact words I told you on the message without going back to it a few weeks ago? No.
Probably not.
But the storage that is available, okay, on your WhatsApp can remember that.
Correct.
And it can analyze the words and it can provide you with some suggestions. So here, it doesn't matter how talented or intelligent you are, but you cannot compete with that kind of capacities.
Correct, yeah. And it is, I think it is two ways of thinking, like you mentioned. If AI or generative AI specifically can write you a book and poem, and that will hinder readers, I mean, authors not to write books, or it will help others to write books so much faster that they can do lots of books. But the element itself of people who would be in that technology and people who would let down that technology and they don't believe in it. There's always this debate, and it's a debate at the end. Everybody has a different perspective to it, and nobody is really see the way you see things. And I agree with you, and I agree with them. But like I agree as well that we should not sit and ignore the fact that AI is making our job efficient and making our life easier. It's just use it for your own good and try to identify what other ways you can help you to do your job better. It's not necessarily that you buy an older product and then you do it all yourself. That's what I think.
See, the professions will not go away. The doctors will be there. The engineers will be there. The lawyers will be there. But there will be two categories in future. Those which are sticking to the traditional ways and those which are using AI in their job. So the doctors with AI will supersede the doctors who are not going to use it. So that trend has to be within their profession of understanding. You know, now Google have facilities by looking, scanning your eyes. It can tell you or replace some of the functions that you can do through X-ray or MRI. So would you prefer to go 40 minutes under MRI and in the closed area to find out if there is an issue somewhere, or go 5 seconds and scan through your eyes? Which one you prefer as a patient? You know, there's no brainer. So when these evolutions comes, it's naturally everything else will disappear. And if the MRI, for instance, I'm just saying, this is just an example. If that goes away, what does that mean? Maybe 5 people who are working at the same time on one patient to do that, they will not have to do it. They will have to find something else to do. But yeah, I mean, this is the trends and understandings, and many countries are using it, but not necessarily the big tech companies will be dominating this. There are a lot of competitions. Google and OpenAI are leading, The others are still trying to catch up, and they cannot catch up. So these are very big companies, even in technology. So they have to change themselves as well. If they don't,
if they want to still in the lead, you mean?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. Now, before we end up this podcast, what is the advice that you're looking to give to the people who are listening, viewing, and watching this episode?
Well, first of all, I don't know what are the probably the categories of the people, but I will try to categorize them. So I said to the students, whether they are in universities, it's not too late to adopt AI. If the people are in high school, secondary school, or even primary school, it's also a time to do those. They don't have to wait to be taught in the class. There are many free trainings, many free tools that they can, analyze. Of course, with the supervisory, depending on the age. And for the parents, they need to know this, even if they are retired, to be able to guide at least their children and families. Not knowing this, they could listen from wrong people, wrong advices, wrong perceptions, and naturally they impact their children by receiving those either wrong advices or lack of knowledge. Mm-hmm. And for professionals, if they want to prosper in their job, they need to adopt AI in their jobs. So at the end, I want to thank you, and thanks for the listeners attending this. And hopefully I would have very optimistic views that we will see a lot of these applications applied in Bahrain.
Yeah, I can't look away from that, and hopefully that is what's happening in the market. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been an honor to have you, Dr. Jasim. I do understand that you're a really busy man, and getting you in my studio is a huge, huge, huge privilege. Thank you so much for giving me that time, and especially when it's come to awareness. I believe Dr. Jasim is believing in sharing awareness, as he mentioned, and he's thriving to do it throughout his career. And wish you all the best from here onwards. I noticed something, that 90% of my viewers are not subscribers to the channel. So what I would advise you to do is, if you really enjoy this content, please hit the subscription button and like this content to ensure it's spreading. And my promise for you is, you are going to be blown away with the numbers of podcasts that we are going to have this year and the guests that are lined up for this year. So stay tuned, subscribe to this channel, and like this video. It helps big time. Thank you once again for watching this episode, and see you soon.